Today I'm going to bring you along to see how I worked with a client decluttering their family playroom. Here's what Jennifer's playroom looked like before. In general, kind of chaotic. She did have some spots for things, but didn't really know how to manage it. We will cover 6 tips for a spotless playroom, but this is applicable to other rooms as well. Welcome to the Peaceful Home. I'm so glad you're here to join me for this decluttering challenge. This is video 17, and it took me a bit to make this one. I've been sick, but on the mend, and finally able to show you this amazing transformation. Now, Jennifer has struggled in particular with being able to say no. People give her things, and you're going to hear why in a little bit. I don't know if you struggle with having people that are always giving you things. And what do? Sometimes you want the things, sometimes you don't. Even when you do, it may end up being too much, more than you can manage. We're going to go through these 6 tips as we see the transformation that is happening in Jennifer's playroom. Jennifer and her husband Jacob have 2 sweet boys. They homeschool and they have a lot going on in their lives. They were missionaries in Thailand for years and have only recently been back in the US. This is an opportunity for you to see exactly how I declutter with a client. We will go through these 6 steps as we declutter, and at the end, I will show you the reveal and my tips for learning to say no. Tip number 1, bring your kids in for the initial phase. That meant that Oliver and Bastian were invited to declutter with us. Now, I think Oliver is a pro. When I got there, he said, "I love to declutter and sort." I love this kid. Both of the boys were so helpful, and it's important to have your kids involved. We guided them with questions and with direction, including pick out 2 of your favorite games or stuffed animals or whatever category you're working on. Pick one thing that can go. You alternate back and forth until you get down to that middle ground that is probably stuff that can go anyway. I do have a video on decluttering with sentimental kids. I will post that below. It's important that with children like this, which was a little more Bastian, he was struggling to get rid of things. And we want to make sure that we're not giving absolutes, like, you don't play with this, it's going. That can really set a child off. So we want to make sure to listen and tell them what we're hearing. Wow, buddy, it sounds like you're afraid that if we donate this, you'll really miss it. Sometimes just acknowledging those feelings really comforts them and makes them feel a little safer that you're not going to just throw everything out. Now, tip 2, move on to decluttering without kids. In this case, Jennifer gave the boys a little extra screen time so that we could move a little quicker. You're looking for broken toys, missing pieces, and even toys that the parent doesn't like. If you hate setting up a particular game, you're probably not going to do it, which means the kids will try, they'll get it out, they'll make a mess of it, and then you'll throw it all back in the box with or without all the pieces, and it never really gets used properly. You also want to look for toys and things that your children have outgrown. As Jennifer and I continue to declutter without the boys, we made progress really quick. Now, this was mainly because Jennifer, although she's very sentimental, she knew what she wanted in that playroom and she knew what could go. Tip number 3, as you're decluttering, put like items together. So you are putting all the Legos in one spot, all the Duplos in one spot, all the building blocks in one spot, the Barbies in one spot. You're making piles. You need to have lots of boxes and bins on hand for this. You will most likely have toys that are kind of single items. They're not part of a set. So for example, a remote control car usually just has 2 pieces. A pair of sunglasses, the one cool Spider-Man toy. All of these single items can be put into one box. Number 4, choose one spot for all the toys and make it somewhere where parents can keep an eye on things. This is why I strongly recommend that you do not store toys in the bedroom. If it is absolutely the only space you have, then you as the parent need to regularly check to make sure toys are being put away properly and they're not getting shoved under a bed or a dresser. Ideally, toys should be in a family room, living room, or even a hall closet. This way, mom and dad can keep an eye on things. The children can check out one toy at a time, maybe two, but they don't get out anything else until those toys are put away. This will transform your play area. When parents can keep an eye on things and they notice, yes, you checked out the Duplos, you played for half an hour, and now it's been 5 hours and you haven't touched them. You need to remind your child to clean that up. This also enables you to really see if your child is being inconsiderate with play, with others, or with their toys. I would tell my children, if a toy's on the ground, that means you're not taking care of it. If it's been discarded, scattered, then it's going to be taken away for a season. This is how we teach our children to be good stewards and take care of their belongings. Number 5, have a small bin or basket handy where you can put pieces that you find later. So the kids have put away the puzzle and the next day you found a piece that kind of slid under the couch. Rather than having to go and open the box and put it in, you can drop it in the bin. The kids also know if they're doing a pickup, say before vacuuming, they're checking under couches and tables, any pieces they find can go in this miscellaneous bin. Keep it small, maybe about this big, and put it on your chore chart. Let's say every Friday, the kids alternate emptying the bin and putting everything away where it belongs. Number 6, we clean the play area every day. We don't let a day go by without it being tidy and clean. Now, the reason for this is if you allow your children to get out too many toys, they stay for days. By the time you decide it's cleanup day, there is so much that it's usually overwhelming. The kids can't see straight. They can't think to sort that much. It's just too much. Hey, I'm just jumping in for a quick minute because I guarantee at this point, some of you are thinking either one, this is completely unrealistic. There's no way that we could have a tidy play area. Or number 2, you must have really squashed your kids and made cleaning more important than play. I want to address those concerns really quick. First of all, if you declutter, if you get the junk out, if you structure your play area so that your children need to check out the toys and you train them and teach them for skills that they will use the rest of their lives, this is completely realistic. It really is. We often just have to retrain ourselves. We are the ones with the bad habits. If you can do this, it will make a huge difference in your child's life and in their character. Now, as far as the second issue goes, one of the things that we did is if they were in the middle of playing, let's say that they are making this giant castle out of blocks and they got out the little people and they've made a town and it's amazing. I would allow them to keep that out. I would allow them to continue to play with it day after day as long as it was tidy. So those were the rules. If stuff isn't being scattered, if loose pieces are brought together, either put in the bin or put in the area you're working in, they could continue to create and play. I didn't want to stifle that at all. But we all know when kids get done with something, there's a breakdown. They're no longer playing with it and everything is falling apart and getting scattered all over the house. That is not helpful to your kids. One of the best things you can do is get your kids outside for unstructured play as much as possible. But when they're indoors, we all like to live in a place that is somewhat tidy. There was a point when our son was about 12 years old and he wanted to build a fort in the garage out of cardboard boxes. So we allowed him to do that. Day after day, he added to it until when we walked in, the entire garage was filled with his creation. It was there for about a month. And after that time, I could see that the kids were no longer playing. He wasn't adding to it. They were pretty much done. And that had been plenty of time for them to create and learn and explore and try new things, figure out how stuff works. But it was finally time for it to be taken down. So I promise you, if you do this with a good and positive attitude, with lots of teaching and training, You will not be squashing your children or pushing them in some mold of perfectionism. Help out your kids by establishing good habits. Train them by setting aside time every day. Maybe it's right after quiet time, right before mealtime, or before bed. But everyone checks for belongings, and then parents do an inspection. Now, if you still find that your children are leaving things out, I have a cure, a proven system that works. And I will leave that video below too. It is the buyback box, and it changed our home, and it made it so that I almost never picked up after my kids. Now, here's a bonus tip. Jennifer was the one that was sentimental on this day because she was finding toys that were given to them by friends in Thailand, or toys from her own childhood. So I encouraged her to get 4 bins, good size bins, 1 for each member of the family, and those are for keepsake items. This way you know that things that are really important to you have a spot. They won't be ruined or lost. You know right where to find things when you want to go through them. I encouraged Jennifer to put these boxes in the garage, and whenever the boys have something that they're no longer playing with, but it's very special to them, it can go in the memorabilia box. You were in Thailand for 15 years.
Yes.
And then you've been back for...
We've been back for 4 years.
Okay.
But when we came back, we didn't have anything. We
Yeah.
came back with 4 suitcases, and that was it. So people gave us everything, which has
Yeah.
been an enormous blessing. But also
Absolutely.
I felt like I had to take everything.
Right. Yeah, because everything you have is because people have just blessed you.
Yeah, furniture, dishes, everything we have was just given to
Right.
us when we came back.
Yeah. And so you're building and you're building, and then you realize we have everything.
Yeah,
We have more than what we need.
right,
And you start kind of going, okay, now how do we start to get less and get to a...
right. Or
place where we
replacing things with stuff that we
Yes.
actually would pick out versus,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah,
stuff
that makes
was given
sense.
to us.
Now I think you can understand why Jennifer had such a hard time saying no. She always felt she needed to say yes to the most amazing, generous people that were giving to her and her family. If you're struggling with friends or family members that continue to give you things, here's what I recommend. First, retrain yourself to have this response. Thank you so much for that generous offer. I need a minute to think about it. Can I get back to you? Train yourself to respond like this every single time, and then you'll be able to consider, do I really want this item? Can we use it? Is it something that I would actually go out and purchase? Or am I just saying yes because someone's giving it to me, because it's free? Free stuff, clearance stuff, on sale stuff will clutter up your home so quickly. One of the things I bear in mind is, would I buy this at full price? And if I wouldn't, I probably don't really need it. Oh my goodness, I think we're having a storm right now. Everything is blowing around. Okay, back to people giving you stuff. When you respond with, thank you so much for thinking of me, thank you for your generous offer, can I get back to you? For one thing, it kind of lets that person know it may be a no, because it wasn't an automatic yes for you. I think people figure, oh, they probably don't need this. But it gives both of you some time to think. And the next day when you text or call and say, I thought it over, I love that item so much, and the fact that you're thinking of me, but we just don't have a place to put it. This will go a long way in keeping the clutter down in your home. As much as decluttering is about getting things out, the other side of the coin is what we're bringing in. Let's take a look again at what the playroom looked like before. Jennifer had some organization with these cubbies and baskets and the toy box. And let me interject here, please do not have a toy box unless it is set up for something very particular. Jennifer decided to use hers for dress-up clothes. That's all that goes in there. But the way most people use a toy box is for everything that's a toy. And it doesn't matter if it goes in there or not. It doesn't matter if it's part of another set. Not to mention, most kids will throw just about anything in a toy box. You would be shocked at the things I have seen down at the bottom, even with my own kids, which is why I outlawed toy boxes very early on. Here's one last look at how the playroom looked before. And here's a look at how the room looks now. Jennifer was telling me that she loved to just walk in and take a look. It was like a breath of fresh air. And she told me in the days following that the boys were doing so great at checking out toys and cleaning up when they were done. It's already changing the way her boys play and changing how they can keep their home neat and tidy. I just want to thank Jennifer and her family for allowing me to film and make this video. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much for joining me today on The Peaceful Home. Check out the playlist for the Decluttering Challenge. There's 16 other videos. Have a great day. It started blowing and raining, and there's all these leaves and things on the river. I guess this is our first rain of fall.